Welcome, everyone, to Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo, Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And tonight's show, Paloma for Fraud. I'm going to be bringing more information to light about this con artivist. I've been profiling con artivists and mercenary activists for over 3 years now, folks. I can tell them at a distance. I know what they act like. I know their modus operandi, and I can tell you even what they're going to do next.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be exposing more about Paloma and her activities and associations. For those who do not know, I did a show, I think it was a couple of shows ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 days ago.
Mm-hmm. In which I talked about con artivists and talked about a lot of the questions I have about Paloma Delint Zuniga's activities, about her associations, and about her involvement in propaganda films for a director who produces short films and is also part of the Refuse Fascism group. The Refuse Fascism group that refers to the presidency, the current presidency, as well as most of the GOP, as a fascist organization, as fascists, as Nazis, and that opposes the presidency. But really, when you look behind what these people are doing, they're calling for violence. They're calling for the overthrow of our government, and violently so. And there are people involved in that resist. Was it no to fascism?
Yep.
Group that include Bill Ayers, literally a terrorist, a domestic terrorist.
Yep, exactly.
And I do want to make a correction because if I make mistakes in my reporting, I like to correct them, and I have been informed about 2 things that I have recently reported that I need to correct. One is that I mistakenly said, well, I said, I think he went to prison. Didn't he go to prison?
Talking about Bill Ayers, right?
And you said yes.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Well, actually, it was both of our mistakes because he was charged. And then it was found out that, or the FBI was found out to have been executing warrants or executing raids and looking for evidence and doing wiretaps without warrants as part of COINTELPRO. And so they dropped the charges against him, but not against his wife, who's also implicated in terrorist activities. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one correction. Correction number two is that the person that got pepper sprayed in the face, that was basically tweeting videos on Pros Biak's page, wasn't him. It's a different guy.
Okay, I made a mistake on
I
the guy.
assumed that it was him because he was tweeting from his page on Twitter, but maybe Jack Prosbiak, I think is his name, Prosobiak. I can never say that guy's name. It's like a tongue twister for me. So, but it was somebody tweeting from his page, being retweeted by others from the Republican Party or the right. And so for that reason, I wanted to make those 2 corrections so people were updated.
Good.
But also, I want to tell you about tonight's exciting show. Tonight, I'm going to talk about some of the allegations I made before. I know a lot of people who have listened to videos of Paloma's after I did that show had some interesting questions and arguments, such as, so who cares if she did that movie? It's work and people work for money. What's wrong with capitalism?
Mhm.
And I was like, what? What I said is Paloma is a narcissistic attention beep who cannot stop talking about, bragging about all of her achievements, but she never mentioned this particular thing. She never mentioned or talked about this particular movie as if to hide, as if she were embarrassed of it. And no matter how much she acts like, oh, I ain't embarrassed of this, I question how a lady that spends a lot of her time primping and bragging failed to mention this amazing achievement of being in a movie in Hollywood.
And paid.
And getting paid for it. Like, she talks about all her other achievements, but she failed to mention this, which I think is kind of interesting, because there's a lot of things that are hidden by omission. Lies are not just the ones that come out of your mouth. There's also omissions of what are kept secret, and I think there is a reason why she hid that piece of information. Not to mention the fact that when she talked about, and even as recently as now, talked about her friend and associate Sonia Diaz Vargas of Pueblos Sin Fronteras, the human smuggler who was arrested not once but several times in connection with her human smuggling activities, and also assault of officers in Mexico, how she has defended this human smuggler and or basically said she's not really a threat. She's not a human smuggler. Like, why are you defending a human smuggler? I don't get it.
Exactly.
But in addition to that, I want to talk tonight about what this chaos agent does. I've seen them before. I told you Cassandra Fairbanks was one of them. They flip-flop. They pretend to be Democrats to infiltrate that, or they pretend to be Republicans to infiltrate on either side. They use sex as a weapon. They compromise people by taking naughty pictures with them and putting them out on the interwebs. Cassandra's done that before. Delint is accused of doing it now and in the past. And these are disgusting practices, using revenge porn, putting people's, harassing people. And, this person has had legal problems on both sides of the border. Because apparently she's been taken to court in Mexico for squatting. For someone that spends all their time
In Mexico.
traveling around talking about their expensive party lifestyle and how they're a responsible human being that doesn't live off of other people, I think a judgment against you for squatting for many months and having your contract with them revoked by a court, and you being forced to or ordered to pay all of those fees that you did not pay. I think that those are things that are notable about a person's character.
Where'd that happen at?
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
In Mexico. Here's the thing. I was talking to another reporter, and we frequently I talk to other reporters in different states. And this reporter said that they were looking into the background of one of the indigenous leaders that we saw at Standing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw a number of crimes. And they listed off some of these crimes, like traffic things and even some misdemeanor kind of altercations, things that, But they said, I'm not even as concerned about those. It's the thieving, the fraud, those kinds of things, stealing, fraud, those kinds of people tend to stay the same. He said, those are the things that concern me. It shows a lack of integrity in this person that they're willing to commit those kinds of crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, another thing I'm going to be sharing with you tonight is about voter fraud. We'll get into that more deeply with Duke.
Oh,
who's
yeah.
like my resident expert on the topic on voter registration and engaging people and registering people. And we're going to talk about what Paloma did. No bueno. Finally, I'm going to dive into some of the double standards that Paloma applies only to herself. Because when it is somebody else, she attacks associations and activities, but when it's her, it's okay, including her good friend, Cory Feldman. All of that tonight on A Mexican Crossing Lines. But first, I want to thank all of those of you who've sent me information, who have been sending me messages, emails. Thanks for all of the intel you have sent me. I could do like many more shows on just this topic, on just this person, because of the inundation of information I have gotten about said person. But I'm going to try to break down the most important things. I am more focused on the facts, the fraud especially, and I want to explain to you how these double agents destroy parties, destroy movements, destroy democracy itself. How these double agents put us at odds with each other and keep us from being involved in our American elections, keep us from being involved in our work. This particular person, Paloma for Trump, has targeted exclusively Republican Trump supporters. What does that tell you? And preferably with large platforms, with a following of people being effective at exposing that people that are not just primping their hair in front of a phone with their sunglasses on, but out there doing the work, putting one foot in front of the other. It seems to me like figures like her, their main job isn't being a Trump supporter. Their main job is attacking Trump supporters and destabilizing. And damn, they are good. Hit woman. That's what she should be called. But first, I want to thank everyone who has supported our work, and I encourage you to make a tax-deductible donation to keep our work on the air. Duke, how can folks support us?
Oh, you can support us many ways, and I would like to thank everybody who has actually been supportive of us, who watch our shows, who share our shows. We're a nonprofit organization, and we have a radio station. Our primary purpose is running a radio station, and we broadcast 24 hours a day in the Fargo-Moorhead region. And we've been doing these Facebook Lives for quite a while because we've reached a larger audience. We've been able to take our shows and format them into radio shows and do live shows that reach people across the country and in many countries. And we thank all the followers and all the people who support us and all the people that watch. And you've got a doozy coming up tonight, so hang in there. Our reporting is long. It's not short little 30-minute segments. They can go on for an hour or 2 hours, but they're packed with information. And there's many ways that people can send us stuff, and you have been. But I'd like to do this and tell people all the ways you can get a hold of us, because everybody has a different way that they're comfortable with. You can call our message line and leave a message up to 3 minutes at 701-566-0917. It's a message line, so you can, it'll record a message, and sometimes people call in and want to say something. But if they want to write something, you can do old-fashioned email. Cindy at kpppfm.com, or me, Duke at kpppfm.com. You can tweet us at media_PPP, and you can go to Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo-Moorhead and the People's Press Project at Mexi-Can, and go to our website, kpppfm.com. That's where we put the shows. We're using YouTube for all of our recorded shows. Each live stream we record, and we put it up on YouTube immediately after the show is done. You can find our YouTube channel at Duke1517. Please subscribe. We're going to be doing more lives on there too. And also on kpppfm.com, you can find A Mexican Crossing Line and look up all our shows even before we were doing live streams. And we were just doing strictly audio podcasters, many, 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 hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, including A Whole History of Standing Rock, The Kathleen Bennett Story, and all the other programming we have on this station. Now, to support this station, you go to kpppfm.com/donate. Again, we are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization. Any donations you make are tax-deductible, and we're still fundraising to go to Tijuana. We haven't raised the money we need yet, and we're well into August. We're going to end up hopefully raising the money in September. And that might not be bad. It'll be a little bit cooler. So we'd appreciate that. And those of you who have donated, we're banking that, and we want to use that for that trip. So any donation you make, you can designate it for our travel fund, or you can just designate it for the station. All of it is tax deductible, and we thank you very much for that support.
Listen, folks. One of the things that credentializes the work that I do, I believe that credentializes the work that I do, is that we started a non-profit radio station so that we would not be controlled by corporate sponsors or mainstream media, so that we could give a true version of events from our perspective. And we were both organizers. Duke has a much longer history of being an organizer and being an executive of nonprofits in this. Many nonprofits started by him in this community. And we were towing the progressive line for years. If you had told me that there were infiltrators, that there were people even within our own progressive movement that would trounce you if you did not toe the progressive rhetoric line to the T, I would have told you were crazy. I would have said, nuh-uh. No, I'm a grown woman. Nobody tells me what to say. I don't fall for propaganda. Nobody controls my thinking through social media or whatever you think. You're crazy. Get away. Until I lived it. Until Kathleen Bennett's story came along and slapped me in the face. Until all of these people, who many of whom I even supported, like Chase Iron Eyes of Last Real Indians, they turned their backs. They slammed the doors in our face. And they refused to take accountability for the horrible crimes that they committed, for the fraud that they committed. It was then and there that I became committed to exposing them, to telling the truth, and to speaking to the American public in a different way, in a way that was uniting, not dividing, in a way that was eye-opening, not mind-numbing, in a way that empowered people to make their own decisions and gave them information, not a bunch of misinformation and sound bites for propaganda. And that is why I have dedicated myself to exposing frauds and phonies. And I will tell you something. I know my last show on Paloma for Trump, a.k.a. Paloma Zuniga Delint, got a lot of people riled up. In fact, there was some people who had made a donation, or they started donating or supporting our station, that said, I have made a donation to you, therefore I can control what you say. Or at least that's what I heard. That's what I heard. Please, I've told you, I'm only accountable to listeners, which is why I ask for your support to keep our station's work going. But when I say I'm accountable to you, it means that the listeners that support our work keep us on the air. They do not control what we say. And I know what I know. I feel that the American public has the right to know the same things. And I'm not the only one. I am sounding the alarm for those who cannot speak. Do you even realize how many people this woman has silenced, has terrorized for months and months and months? Do you have any idea of the psychological harm inflicted by one person. One person. Well, that's not true. One person and her entourage of devoted Kool-Aid drinking worshipers. Let me tell you something that one of the many people that reached out to me after the show said to me. They said, Cindy, you know, what happened to me, I know this happened to other people, but I don't think any of them will talk because of how virulent her attacks are. She goes after people's marriages. Mm-hmm. She goes after your husband. Like she tries to get in bed with your husband. She tries to take compromising pictures of people's naked bodies so she has something over you. That's like an extortionist. That person has been able to silence and harm so many people, they can't even lift up their heads and say, yes, this person is that and worse. I know, I can tell you my story, because that's how much she has silenced these people out of fear. So when I raise my voice to raise this alarm, I am doing it for all of those people who cannot. And I bring the facts. I also bring my track record of exposing frauds. If y'all who are veterans out there can, give me a shout out, let people in the feeds know what my track record is on identifying early on, while everyone is still worshiping them, sacred cows within this progressive movement, and calling them the frauds that they are long before they end up in jail, long before they rape someone, long before they commit heinous crimes. So I'm going to keep doing my job. Believe me, I've been through many rodeos. So many that a couple of tears and some veiled threats, they're not going to throw me. And again, I am not the only one voicing this. There are many brave people out there that have raised their voice and that have raised questions. Here's just an example of that. This person posted, I think on Twitter, or is it Facebook? Let's go to scene one. He says, this is Students for Craig Huey, speaking to Paloma. You are just a social media troll. Social media troll, attention beep. We can't say that on the radio, can we? No.
Nope, I wouldn't.
No. It rhymes with shore.
Yeah.
You're an attention shore and a troll. You haven't done anything for the movement except to profit off the Trump name. This is true. It's easier to rip off the Trump logo in ghetto Tijuana because you aren't subject to copyright laws.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, that's so true. We've been in Mexico, and they'll rip off Disney. Mm-hmm. They'll rip off anyone because they don't, there's no way they can go after all those people for violating copyright laws. But violating copyright laws is probably the least of her problems.
Yep, exactly.
Finally, he says, has Trump sent you a cease and desist letter yet? I don't know. Maybe. Someone should bring it up. I don't think the president of these United States would appreciate somebody making money off of his name, especially when they find out what she has supported in past, such as human smuggler and Pueblos Sin Fronteras escort, or coyote as we call them, Sonia. What's her full name? Sonia Diaz Vargas. Paloma, in the past, went silent, refused to answer questions about her involvement with this woman who assaulted officers in Mexico and bit one. Like, She was like that boxer, Mike Tyson, the ear biter.
Yeah, she's all sprawled out they're trying to shove her in the vehicle, and
it was horrifying. I showed you the video on my show where she was attacking the cops. And Paloma defended her then. Paloma detracted then. And when it was brought up in my show recently with more evidence, she doubled down. Take a listen for yourselves.
I mean, she was crazy. She was crazy. You can't give any relevance to someone whose mental ability is just not all there. I mean, the lady was nice. And she was, she's a screamer. She didn't even know what she was screaming for. She didn't know if she was with us or against the migrants, or against the caravan organizers, or against us. She didn't know who she was fighting. She just wanted to fight somebody. And then one day it got out of hand, and she started pulling people and doing all kinds of stuff. And she got arrested, and we never heard from her again. The guys.
Okay, I have a question for Paloma. ¿Eres o te haces? This is a saying more than a question for Mexicans. Are you or are you pretending to be a pendeja? Because let me just tell you, o navegas con bandera de pendeja. Because everyone knows the MO of the smugglers, the organizers, the coyotes working within the escorts within the caravan. We saw them at the Viento y Marea shelter. We saw them in the streets of Benito Juarez. What did they do? They would have all of the migrants standing around taking orders from them. They would huddle, the organizers would huddle together in a little crowd of people. A reporter came by. They were like, "Why are you filming us? Get out of here." They'd put up these like sheets in front of them like, "Don't film us." You know what? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
I definitely do.
They were like Antifa rabid dogs attacking anybody in the media that dared to get close and start asking questions and doing their damn job in public. We also know that those coyotes, those human smuggler criminals that were basically taking a huge dump on the streets of Tijuana, were organizing the migrants that stayed in the street and refused to go to El Barretal to go and shut down the border and have a violent clash with the United States Border Patrol, which they also exploited for a publicity stunt, running through the tear gas with their kids. We know that the people that were organizing the people in the streets to go and commit crimes on our border were telling those people and telling the media, don't get any help from Gastelum, the mayor. Don't take any help from the authorities. The authorities are racist Trump supporters. Don't go and get food at the shelter. Don't go and get shelter and water and showers. Stay here in a sewer-filled street in a tent. That's what Sonia was doing. Everyone knew she was doing it, and she wasn't the only one doing it. I did entire shows, point by point, showing you who was lying to the migrants and how they were connected to the smuggling operation, pointing out how they were withholding certain people that they committed crimes with at our border, costing the people of Tijuana and the American public millions of dollars for their actions. But Paloma wants to tell you, she's not, she doesn't even know who she is.
Yep, just a crazy lady.
She's just a crazy person who she didn't know she was maybe against the migrant one day, for the migrant the other day. No, no te hagas pendeja. You know exactly who she was with. And so did everyone in Mexico. Are you an expert on your city and your town where you live and you report and you know everyone? Or do you not know a goddamn thing? Which is it? Because it can't be both. Do you not know what's happening around you in your own city? Really, you don't even look at the news? Just like she tried to say about Ivan Riebling, she never heard of him. She never seen him. Even people in the United States know who the Mexican Rambo FBI investigated for selling arms to Antifa Evan Duke. Everybody knows who Ivan Riebling is. Not to mention that he kind of stands out with his big bald head.
And his mouth.
Yeah, it's like the guy looks like a giant G.I. Joe something.
Mm-hmm.
But when asked who she was taking photos with, this celebrity, well-known celebrity, criminal celebrity, infamous person in Tijuana, in Mexico, she's like, I didn't know who he was. Just some rando stranger walked up to me and I was like, sure, I'll take a picture with you. You know who else told me that BS? Wesley Clark Jr. that brought the veterans to Standing Rock. I was like, did you know Evan Duke? Why is Evan Duke sending you text messages? Well, I don't know. I was like, well, I found some pictures of you hugging Evan Duke at the camp. How'd that happen? He's like, Cindy, I'm so important. Do you know how many people I took pictures with? I don't remember who I took pictures with. I didn't know those people. How they got your phone number then?
Mm-hmm.
See, I mean, I've heard these lies so many times. To me, when I hear, I don't get fooled by it like some of y'all may have gotten fooled when you hear her spew her lies. To me, it sounds like a toddler denying that they ate chocolate when their face is covered with chocolate. That's what it sounds like to me. Let me show you some other interesting pieces of the puzzle on this. The Gateway Pundit had a story in December of 2018 about that had a tweet about Sonia that tended to, like Paloma did, and only Paloma, by the way, in the media, defend Sonia as a person that was doing good and telling the migrants the opposite of what she was accused of doing, which was not to go to the border and commit crimes. And it happens to be none other than Wendy Fry of the San Diego Union Tribune. The same Wendy Fry that I told you tweeted out a fundraiser for Border Angels. The same Wendy Fry that went to the shelter that I and Oscar visited, where we interviewed the children that were being offered sex or offered to be crossed into the United States in exchange for sex with a coyote. The same Wendy Fry that wrote the favorable articles about many of these con artivists and mercenary activists like Evan Duke. The same Wendy Fry that quoted Evan Duke as saying that yours truly was the reason he was being investigated by the FBI. That Wendy Fry. Here's the tweet. By the way, she erased it. It's gone.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. It's not out there. Maybe because she's lying. Mm-hmm. And this is what she said. This woman, Sonia Diaz Vargas, is telling people not to march. She says it's dangerous for the children, and some dishonest people are lying to these people that they will get into the United States, Wendy Fry said. It appeared, one of those dishonest people is Sonia Diaz Vargas. And all the people that Wendy Fry keeps writing so favorably about. That's who's telling these people. It appears, it goes on, it appears as if the majority of the caravan remaining at Benito Juarez are not willing to march today. Many are saying they're frustrated. They've been lied to about getting into the U.S. One woman was saying it's unconscionable that the leaders would lie to hungry people, Wendy Fry said in a video she posted on her Twitter account, which she has now deleted. Why did you delete that?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts about why she might have deleted that?
Because she didn't want any accountability, that she was putting stuff out there that she's backtracking on because she's forming these sides, and then she's formulating what direction the wind is blowing. So I see people like that one day they're saying some stuff, and also accountability. How much more accountability? This is also the person who works for that station who put out the big expose on journalists and activists and all sorts of things, So she's been feeling around to find her place. So she puts things up, takes things down, things like that.
And this next article. Oh, that's the same one, isn't it? That's the one that you just showed. Thank you. I want to share with you this video that she was captured in prior to her arrest. Okay, folks? This was before she was arrested. Listen, Sonia got on my radar when she attacked other reporters, including Alfredo Alvarez. Sonia routinely attacked any reporters. She was trying to keep them from monitoring her questionable activities because she didn't want to be filmed criming or talking about her crimes or organizing the migrants because that's what she was doing, exactly what she was doing, and anyone with eyes or ears could see it. Well, except for Paloma. Take a listen. I will translate for you. Make sure to turn them down a little bit so you can hear me.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
This is a video taken by a reporter in Mexico. She's in the window of a van talking to migrants. And the reporter walks up behind her. She's talking, she's smiling, and all of a sudden she sees the camera and she puts her hand up to block it. What do you want? I'm a reporter. Yeah, come here. What do you want? What's the situation? What are you guys going to do? Nothing. What's your comment? Nothing. We have no comment. If you look, listen to me. You want to do a report? Ask me first. Don't be a spy. I'm not a spy. I'm a reporter. Whatever you are. These people need your help. So why don't you help us? Well, this is how we're helping. We're reporting. How are you helping? Did you hear what he says? We're hungry. The man in the van says, listen to him. We just got here from Honduras. Well, how are you going to help him? No. Tell me. What support? This is my support. This is how I support. I'm reporting. And then after that, what? Then what? What are you going to give me? I can't really do anything other than report. Listen to me. I give me the respect I deserve, okay? I'm a reporter. My name is Sonia Diaz Vargas, and my father is God, okay? No, I'm not going to tell you who I am, and I'm not going to tell you where I'm going or where I'm coming, okay? Help me. These people are hungry. You said you're trying to help? Then give us help. Give it to me now. Do it. Look at how all the migrants support her and protect her. They want to eat, brother. They are all hungry. Feed them. Excuse me. Feed them. Give me the shelter to take them to. Show me where to take them to. I'll take them myself. I'll take them. Well, in Benito Juarez, do you have a car? Look, I'm trying to give you some instructions. No, listen. Are you going to help me? Then help me completely. This is the situation that we're living here. You're not helping us at all. So notice how the migrants that are around her shield her, protect her like they're her bodyguards, like they're her very own bodyguards. You saw the same behavior at Viento y Marea. I don't know if you were paying attention. When the migrants were basically boycotting Mexico's help so that they could badmouth Mexico, call us Trump-loving xenophobes, and accuse the Mexican public of repressing them when they were trying to offer them help, while they were giving them food and shelter. And this woman was one of the biggest, most violent instigators. We saw in Viento y Marea when they refused to leave. What did they do? They brought in a bunch of these activists, and the activists were protected. When the police were going to come in and raid and take people out and shut down that shelter because it had been, what's it called when they?
Condemned.
It had been condemned. I keep thinking of the word in Spanish, clausurado. The instruction to the migrants was, they're going to come in here and they're going to try to arrest us, the Americans. So you guys have to form a human shield around us to keep them from arresting us. This is something we've seen over and over and over again. I just showed you another video. That one was before she went and bit a cop. And you saw the organized migrants in that video form a ring around the police cars trying to unarrest her.
Yep.
And also stop the cops from leaving. They are trained. They work with the smuggling operation. Everyone knows that. Even the mayor of Tijuana. But Paloma doesn't. I guess she didn't get the memo. Here's the mayor of Tijuana being interviewed in another news report from Mexico. We saw an image of a woman that is a Mexican, apparently, but she's actually an American citizen, and she was inciting them not to get help at the shelter at El Barretal. Today we have the mayor of Tijuana. How are you? How are you all in Mexico? We're starting to go through a change here. You obviously are going through a very difficult time that is attacking Tijuana. Mayor, this woman was detained. Can you tell us, what do you know about it? She was instigating, as you said. She was telling people not to receive the benefits we were offering, to go against the law enforcement. The situation is she wants to cause internal strife and pitting us against our neighbors, United States, acting as if she's just expressing her free speech, but she's bothering people, and we're trying to give these people a dignified stay, but she's stopping them. Various people have accused her of being a smuggler. Have you been able to confirm or deny that? The truth is, I do not know what the investigation is, but whoever singled her out is one of the people that called her a smuggler, is one of the people that has been helping our city to move all of the migrants to get medical and shelter support. We hope that she desists from her activities and that they allow the authorities in our city to do their job. They were saying there was some violence against her when she was no, excuse me. No, practically beaten? No. Well, we saw a video where there was a lot of, pushing and pulling. It was more than just pushing and pulling, really. The images were harsh, yes, and we will go through our protocol for arrests. We have to be very careful. This takes us into this, a divisive conversation like the one that we were experiencing with this woman yesterday. Are people in the city upset because of the vast numbers of people arriving? Yes, they are, but we're very generous people. And we're trying to offer them jobs, those who wants to stay. But they're upset about the way in which they came to our city. We respect human rights, but their way of acting has not been optimal. And if you add to that people like this woman, Sonia, that's instigating the people, pitting them against our authorities and our government, that is, a problem for all of us. Okay, then they're talking about other government other functionaries coming to help them with the situation. We don't have to hear the rest of that. But I wanted you to hear the very important parts about what was being said about Sonia all over the media and show you even some other evidence. Here's yet another video clip of Sonia. And she is the woman that you will see standing in a crowd of migrants, surrounded by a circle of migrants. And she's holding a phone in her hand, and it looks like she's doing some kind of paperwork. And all these migrants that are standing around her are very attentive to this. If she was just a cray-cray woman that didn't know up from down from one day to the next, how in the hell are so many people surrounding her, protecting her, and taking instruction from her? How is she the one directing media? How is she the one directing traffic? Please. That's why I ask Paloma, ¿eres o te haces? I think te haces, pendeja, ¿verdad? Te haces. Go ahead and play this clip. Check it out. Let's discuss and look together. She's got the black jacket on. She's got her back to the camera. Here we go. And you'll see she's got a Harley Davidson emblem insignia on the back. She's going through her pockets there. She's got a phone in her hand. All the migrants are watching. She's talking on the phone as the migrants listen on. Look at how many migrants are standing around waiting for instructions from Sonia. She is the hub. And notice how they are watching this person filming, and they're all looking. They're all on the lookout to protect Sonia, including Paloma for Trump. Or should I say Paloma for fraud? Because there are a number of things that indicate that Paloma committed voter fraud. Now, I don't know much about this topic because I have not had as much experience as in getting out the vote and registering people to vote. I have a little. I am not going to say I haven't, but you, Duke, have much more experience in the whole arena of getting people to vote and what the rules and the laws and the requirements are. And I also had my sweetie do the investigation part to verify whether the information publicly available about Paloma and her registration for voting and where she registered turn out to show that she committed voter fraud. What did you find, sweetheart?
I'll let you know. I did my share of community organizing for the past 20-some years in North Dakota and Minnesota. And part of my work was getting people out to vote. And through this process, it would help get people registered and help them get to the polls so they could vote. Was not partisan, didn't tell people who to vote for or what to do, just that they had that right as a United States citizen. In the United States, if you're a citizen, you have the right to vote. It's one of the privileges of being a citizen. Whether you're a naturalized citizen or a natural-born citizen, both citizens types can vote. However, if you're a natural-born citizen, you have a little more rights than the naturalized citizen. If you're a naturally born citizen in the United States, you can run for president. If you're a naturalized citizen, can't run for president. Sorry, that's in the Constitution. I would have to change. But anyways, I did my share of voter registration and getting people to the polls. And what I learned through that process is that even though you have a right to vote, each state has requirements in order for you to vote. And one of the main requirements is that you have to have a residency. You actually have to have a physical residence that you live in, that you vote. And you have to live there a certain amount of time before the election. In Minnesota, it's a 30 days before the election. You have to live at that address. North Dakota, it's 30 days. In California, it's only 14 days. So you have to live in a physical residence in California 14 days before the election. So then you're eligible to vote. Now, who can vote in California? You have to be a United States citizen and a resident of California. You have to be 18 years old or older on election day, and not currently in prison. And they have some other requirements about the whether you're a felon. You know, some felons can vote depending on what their felony was, and those sorts of things. Now, however, in California, they also have a requirement that says you cannot use a P.O. box as an address. Right here from the Secretary of State's page, from the frequently asked questions about voter registration. May I register to vote at my business address, or may I use a P.O. box number? And the Secretary of State says, no. A person may only register to vote at his or her place of residence. A business address or a P.O. box number may only be used as a mailing address. Now that's really important information, because I'm just about to tell you that Paloma for Trump boasts about how she voted for Trump. And you can go to her page and you can see information, her voter receipt and those sorts of things. And she talks about that got her involved into politics the very first time. That's how she became Paloma for Trump. Now, we can find information out about people on the internet. I mean, there's so much information about you on the internet that, it's just easy to find. Your information goes out on your bills. It goes out every time you register for events. Your date of birth, you show. Every time you go to a bar and they card you, you show them your date of birth. You show them your address on your driver's license. All this information is put on the internet and is easily found. There's sites you can go to that you can research people. Employers do this all the time. So there's all this public information. And then there's private information like your medical records and really, really private stuff that shouldn't be out there. And then people, shouldn't be putting that information on the internet. But I've done my share of researching Paloma for Trump, because she always talks about how she lives in Tijuana. She says she's a dual citizen, and that's great. However, she talks where she lives is actually in Tijuana. And, that's concerning, because she actually, put her voter receipt up, that she actually was accepted for her registration. And she's very proud of it. And she says, thank you, President Donald J. Trump, for making politics for everyone. Now, she's just talking about that she could vote as a U.S. citizen and lives in Mexico. She talks about this quite a bit. If we actually go to one of her videos, just a recent video, she talks about it openly.
Frustrated of that, and she kept saying that she had evidence but yet didn't. No, I don't live in America. I live in Mexico, and you guys have seen me waking up in Mexico for the last 8 months. I didn't just move to Mexico because of the caravans. I live in Mexico. I've lived in Mexico for 11 years. I travel a lot to LA. I'm in LA right now. I've traveled a lot to Florida. I travel a lot to Pennsylvania. I went to school I don't travel a lot to Pennsylvania, but I travel sometimes to back east. I went to school in New York City a long time ago, but I've lived in Tijuana without any interruption for the last 11 years. I moved to Tijuana in 2008. I believe it was July 2008.
Wow. Now, we have to think about that, because she's talking about how she's lived in Tijuana for all these years. So how did she vote in the last election? Now, if you actually go to look up the information, you can go look up the information on the website in California. There's a voter registration verification page. And if you go to that and put the numbers in, put her name, address, date of birth, and zip code. Now, once again, your name, your address, your date of birth, your zip code, it's all information that can be found about you on the internet. You also show people this information continually. If you write checks, or if you're carded, or if someone wants to see your ID for whatever reason, entry to a business, entry into an event, you are showing this information and it's collected. You write it down on signature forms all the time if you sign petitions and things like that. Now, if we actually go to the voter registration verification, I'm going to actually block out some of this information because I had to find it. I had to look for it. And if you want to find it, go ahead and look it up yourself, and you can go to the site lavote.net. Punch your information in and see if the voter registration verification comes up correctly. And when I do, it comes up voter registration verification, and it says it is active. The voter registration is active on Paloma for Trump. Well, that's interesting because, it's an address, but it's actually an address that is a P.O. box. If you look up her address and try to find her, there's an apartment building, big apartment building, but all those apartments, her address has a hyphenated number, and it doesn't match, 102, 103, 234. It doesn't have a normal apartment number. It's a hyphenated number. And it starts out with the suite 2 dash blah, blah, blah. So if you actually go and look at the address actually resolves to this address. Paloma for Trump's address she used for voter registration is this place, which is PMB Private Mail Boxes. This is a place at the address that she lists on her voter registration as her residence, and it's STE2 dash blah, blah, blah. This is a P.O. box. This is not an actual address. You don't live in your P.O. box. You don't live in a P.O. box. You have to live at a physical address to establish your residency. Residency is the number one thing that we use in elections because we're a representative government. Each person that runs in Congress or locally in school boards, city council, all those things, they represent people that live in their district. That's why you actually have to have a physical residence in that district because you have people representing you. When you vote for president, you still pertains the same. You can't just live anywhere in the United States and go to another state and vote. You can't be in one precinct and go to another precinct and vote. So when you look at the address that Paloma's voter registration resolves to, it resolves to a P.O. box address. Makes you wonder. Voter fraud. Now, I'm just saying that the information I have, and I can plug it into the Secretary of State's site and come up with Paloma's actual verification that she's registered to vote. But when you dig deeper and look at the actual address that she uses, she doesn't live there. And remember, she just did a video talking about she's lived in Tijuana for over 11 years continually. So, it's interesting that it may be voter fraud, and her receipt was posted on her page. She's very proud of it, and no one's bothered to check where she really lives. So I submit to you that Paloma for Trump has potentially committed voter fraud. And what that means, it means two things. One, she could be potentially guilty of a crime if she was investigated with the same information. I'm not doing that, I'm just exposing it. And the second thing is that her vote should not have counted because it would be a spoiled ballot. It would be an invalid vote. Now, the Republicans and Democrats have been talking about voter fraud for a long time. The Republicans more than the Democrats. Seems like the Democrats don't think it's a big deal. They want everybody to be able to vote. And when the Republicans have come up with legislation, federal legislation, Help America Vote Act, and other voting acts have been passed through legislatures to make it that people are verified that they qualify to vote. Now, we've heard the Republicans accuse the Democrats that there's a lot of voter fraud on the Democrats' side, but I don't hear much about people saying Republican voter fraud, that the Republicans have gotten many votes because of voter fraud. I don't know. I haven't researched all that. I've just heard it on the news and I've heard people talk about it. But this specific example, in my opinion, shows that this person voted for Trump, and that vote shouldn't count because it's an invalid vote because she didn't establish residency in a proper actual residence in California. So I submit to you that Paloma for Trump is committing voter fraud. As I said earlier, every United States citizen has a right to vote, either if you're a naturalized citizen or a natural-born citizen. Well, both my wife Cindy, and I are natural-born citizens. We both were born in the United States, therefore we're a natural-born citizen. If you were born in Mexico and then you gain citizenship in the United States, you're a naturalized citizen. And again, the only difference between those two is that one more right happens with a natural-born citizen than a naturalized citizen. And that is that the natural-born citizen can run for president. A naturalized citizen can't.
Okay. You got me thinking.
Yeah.
You got me thinking. But she said and has shown that she has passports for Mexico and the United States. So I'm not trying to be obtuse here, but I'm not really sure that I get what the big deal is. Like, isn't it some kind of misdemeanor or something if you accidentally vote in a precinct that isn't yours? Or like, what is really the big deal if she voted in the U.S., if she's actually a citizen? Isn't there a provision for that so that you could just vote anywhere you want when you're an American citizen?
No, there's not. There's not. The voter rules are very, very specific. And it's actually a felony to abuse
So, like, if I
rights.
voted in some other precinct that I'm not supposed to vote in, I can go to jail?
Well, if there's a mistake that's made by the election judges, that sort of thing, but your ballot should not count.
Right.
When you purposely register to vote to an address that is not a real physical address, and you do that, you're potentially breaking the law. And in the state of California, there are some stiff penalties. Committing or attempting to commit voter fraud is up to 3 years in prison on this felony charge.
It's a felony.
Yeah, it's a felony. And there's other ones: tampering a voting system, changing wrongfully placing ballots, other stuff when people really manipulate the election. Those are fines of $1,000 up to 3 years in prison. 3 years in prison, felony charge. So it's a very, very serious charge when you abuse the voting system. And you would have to argue in court that it was just some clerical error or this sort of thing. But this is, again, I'm revealing the information that I found. I'm not doing an investigation. I'm not reporting to anyone except you, the viewers, that this is what I found in this research.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that the people of California can't go to the Secretary of State, because that's who you report voter fraud to.
Exactly.
And the voter the information that was presented even in our show, if it was replicated by the Secretary of State, all they'd have to do is go to that building and find that the hyphenated letter and number thing that she put down as her address does not correspond to anything but post office boxes.
Exactly.
Not to any kind of apartment, and that she violated the voting laws in California.
Mm-hmm.
And then she could be prosecuted.
Yep.
And
exactly.
possibly face these stiff penalties, including felony charges going for up to 3 years in prison. But that isn't the only legal problem that Paloma has run into. Somehow she manages to attack only conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Somebody that wants to support Trump and help Trump and vote for Trump, albeit fraudulently, apparently, would be attacking only conservatives. Right?
Right.
Here's a protection order, and I know that there are others. Here's a protection order that was taken out on her. And you can see that she is warned here that she may be subject to mandatory arrest and criminal prosecution, which may result in incarceration for up to 7 years for criminal contempt, and or may subject her or her family to court prosecution and incarceration for up to 6 months for contempt of court if she fails to appear in court when she's required to do so. It's an order of protection which remains in effect even if the protected party has or consents to having contact or communication with the party against whom this order is issued.
Wow.
But there's another one. Here's another order against Paloma Ruth Zuniga Delint, in which another person had to take out a restraining order against her. And this is some serious allegations of her activities. It says that the respondent, which is Paloma Ruth Zuniga Delint, committed the following family offenses against the family, children, which constitute attempted assault, assault in the second or third degree, aggravated harassment in the second or third degree, reckless endangerment, stalking, criminal mischief, sexual abuse in the second or third degree, sexual misconduct, forcible touching, strangulation, criminal obstruction or breathing, or circulation, identity theft in the first, second, or third degree, grand larceny in the third or fourth degree, and coercion in the second degree. It says at the bottom, Paloma has been harassing and stalking me because she can't get over the fact that I don't want contact with her anymore. I want no contact with her anymore. She's been constantly messaging, texting, calling, trying to make contact using Facebook, libel, slander, fabricating lies, conspiracies, using hate crimes to attack me, threaten me, spread nudes, sexual unauthorized pictures all over the internet, posting pictures and sending around to others, making fun of my heritage, accusing me of being an illegal in the U.S. She contacted my ex-boyfriend to obtain information on me. She's been posting my information on social media platforms. This has been happening since October of 2018. And by the way, folks, I pointed out the fact that Paloma for Trump seems to have this MO of somebody that is extorting, that is harassing via this method of, taking people in and getting them in compromising positions. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. Let's just check out some more of her court dates real quick, because she has many others. There are many other court dates. Recently, she had one in New York. For the second time in a row, she failed to appear. Next time she fails to appear, there will be a warrant for her arrest issued. It begs the question whether it's true, like she says, that she can come and go freely in the United States, or is it sneaking in and sneaking back out with people without people detecting that you've been here, so you don't have to face the music when it comes to all of these different court dates. Mm-hmm. There's been many people that have called her out for this behavior. Here's one call out.
One call out.
Yes, it's the first one here that we list.
Okay.
And this one is made by Legal Latino on Twitter. Can you read those, honey?
Yes, Legal Latino. Paloma for Trump has upcoming court dates for harassment, revenge porn, and stalking. She has no permanent American address, and she is abusing the judicial system to silence those that meme her. If she can't handle being a public figure, don't be one. Another tweet, Paloma is a fraud that harasses people online and doxes them. Don't promote fake news of this fraud that's causing problems for a lot of Americans. And then there's another one. It says, is Paloma, hashtag Paloma for Trump off Facebook for targeted harassment? The witch uses her 62,000 followers to shut down conservatives on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube that expose the fraudulent stalking ways. The internet hates evil witches like Paloma that use the Trump name to make money.
That's something that she keeps getting called out for, using Trump's name, using the fact that she is a Trump supporter to attack conservatives. Note what she is doing with it. It makes it easier to understand why she would be friends like Sonia, why she could just walk into the Border Angel shelter when no one else seems to be able to do so, why she defends her actions and lies about all of the problems that she causes in the conservative movement. Here's another call out continuing from Legal Latino.
Yes, Paloma's a fraud.
That's the one you already read.
Okay.
It just basically has a Paloma for Trump tweet
Okay.
that was missing there at the bottom that says,
Shut me down? From what? Living? Hashtag I cannot wait. I thanks for the motivation.
Thanks for the motivation. Well, you know what? Not too long after she did, I believe, I don't know if it was simultaneous to this or after, her Facebook page with 64,000 followers was taken down by Facebook. I imagine because she violated Facebook standards. I don't know particularly what or how many of them she violated before they took down her page. But she tried to tell folks that it was because she used Trump's likeness on her page.
Oh, really?
Do you believe that? I mean, if
I don't
that's
believe
true,
that.
then a lot of Facebook pages would not exist. Because a lot of people use Trump on their avatars or on their cover photos.
Yep.
And here is our next slide talking about how Paloma is being served for revenge porn. Many of you had seen. Now, I don't know if it's true that she was being served for revenge porn. She could have been getting served for any number of reasons because apparently she has attacked a number of people. So when people find out she's going to be in the States at some location, that's their opportunity to go and serve her. And this Students for Craig Huey, who earlier in the show, at the beginning of the show, asked if she was sent a cease and desist letter from Donald Trump for her copyright infringement on his Trump brand, is stating what?
Paloma the frog, you engaged in revenge porn against Fabians, which is a felony. You'll face justice.
Fabiana. Fabiana is a celebrity.
Okay. Which is a felony. You'll face justice in New York.
And here is another problem Paloma had. This one in Mexico. It says here that there was a contract, a rental contract, that she did not honor. But it wasn't just her that signed on to this contract for renting a commercial space. It was also her partner, her husband, Jean Nadim Faraon Padilla. And according to this, she had a contract that was renewed and it was ongoing. And she refused to pay for many months, for which reason the contract was ended. If you go to the second one here, you'll see that they not only ended the contract, but they ordered her to pay. You can see down at the bottom that she was told she had to pay a total of 145,000 pesos. That's just for the rent.
Wow.
That doesn't include the costs. So for someone who claims to be an upstanding citizen that does not cause any, she's not a charge on the state. She's not a freeloader with her hand out. What do you call a squatter then?
Exactly.
I don't know. It seems interesting. But, she does this with a husband. Interestingly, in most of the videos you see Zuniga and in most of her activities, the husband is absent. The husband is never present. Here's his Facebook page. You see her there in some of the pictures with him. And here's a close-up of one of those pictures with Zuniga's husband. What's interesting about this to me is that many of the people that have met her and most of the people that see her live streams never see her with her husband, never see her with a man. And in fact, she has even introduced herself to many men and introduced her husband to men as her friend.
Okay.
I don't know what this means about their relationship, but I do know that she steps out of the marital relationship to have sex with others. Now, I'm not going to sit here and judge people's sexual preferences. You know, people are all consenting adults. But what I do know about this, what I'm trying to say about this, is that I saw many people who, in my opinion, acted like sex workers within the con artivists that we saw that came out of Standing Rock that had the same modus operandi. And they tended to bait men into having sexual relations, being in compromising pictures, etc., etc. And then guess what? And I've heard Paloma does the same thing. I heard that Paloma does the same thing. If any of you brave souls out there that have had Paloma come and destroy your life, and you want to share her tactics in more detail, I know I've talked to several of you folks that have gone through a hellish nightmare with this particular person. But if you want to go on the record, you have this platform to do it on. I believe that exposing things to the light, exposing everyone to the information, will not only help prevent future extortions from this person, but will also save people's careers and people's marriages. That's why I think it's an important thing to do. And I also want to call out the hypocrisy of this woman in saying that she doesn't want people like Anthony Agüero to accuse her of posting pictures of him with a Nazi emblem behind him and saying that she has no association with Nazis. Just listen to this clip in which she is reprimanding Agüero and his followers for accusing her of being, if not the origin of the original post, the instigator of the activity of associating Agüero with Nazis. Here she is.
I know. So he made a post today with a Nazi flag, and do not, relate me or associate me with anything related to Nazis, please. I have a lot of friends who are Jewish, and also, I'm not okay with that. So don't associate me in any way with any of that, please. In no way do I want to be associated with anything related to Hitler or Nazis or anything of that kind. Okay? And so even just saying that I said that somehow associates me with that. And I don't want anything to do with that. Okay? So leave me out of your...
Really? No association whatsoever? Because of all your many, many Jewish friends, Paloma? Paloma for Fraud is lying to you again. Here she is hanging out with Nazis. And this is no joke. This is the guy named Jovi Val, Voxlight 2020 at VoxBirdMX posted at Paloma for Trump and 12 others. So Paloma for Trump was in Colorado with the Nazi Jovi Val. That is all starting to make sense. This is all starting to make sense. Hashtag Lexit. Lexit is full of Nazis against migrants at the border. Fascists on the right with Führer Trump. And there's Jovi Val, and she's holding him tightly around his waist. And then there are pictures of Jovi Val making the Sieg Heil, standing in front of a flag, a Nazi flag, wearing a Nazi, what is that, a tie clip? Or
Might be. Looks like it, yeah.
A Nazi tie clip? Oh, my God. So, pot, kettle, what? What does it go? How does it go?
pot calling
Liar.
the kettle black. Yeah.
Paloma for fraud. That's what it's called. Anyway, and it's not just that. When I brought up the thing about the movie, when I brought up the thing about the propaganda movie, it's because I was giving you a profile of many of these Hollywood connected, celebrity connected con artists. How do they operate? They work together. Many of them, they're liars. Actors are literally professional liars, right? So they can play any role, they can say anything. And it's important not only to make that connection, but the connection to Gaba Cortez, the wife of Hugo Castro, the guy that runs that shelter on Playas de Tijuana, where human smuggling is taking place, where the executive director of Border Angels actually put on a narco wedding at the border,
exactly,
documented in the media. It's because of all of these things that I find, in conjunction, any one of these things alone, standing alone, I'll give you credit. It doesn't add up to a hill of beans, but this is much more than a hill of beans.
It's a mountain.
This is a mountain. And one of those people in the mountain is actor Cory Feldman. You remember when he came out against Trump in 2016? Why, that was around the same time Paloma's movie came out.
Exactly.
And he had to say this about Trump. He was terrified that his girlfriend would be deported. So guess what he did? He married her. Huh. Cory Feldman gets engaged to his girlfriend, fearing that Trump will deport her. He was quoted as saying, "We didn't want to risk being separated by new immigration laws." So this man, who is known for his Goonie, the movies he did as a kid.
Oh yeah, that's where he recognized.
Yeah, he did all those kid movies. What he did what's the name of the other Cory? There's the two Corys. He came out against Trump in 2016, and it wasn't just a one-off where he was like, "Oh no, like I'm afraid that somebody's gonna get deported. My girlfriend's gonna get deported." He said it many times that he is against Trump. In this clip, you'll hear him talk about his views on his support for Hillary Clinton and what he thinks of Donald Trump, our president.
Just creatures over here. Jeez Louise.
With some model-looking
These are the supermodels of the world.
These are the future supermodels of the world. That is true.
Okay, Cory, my only question for you is, when are you going to run for president?
It's going to be a few years.
A few years?
I ain't going to try and make a mess of the world. If I ever got in that position, I would want to clean it up and make it right. So we got to let this mess get done with right now and hope for the best and hope that Hillary makes it where she needs to be and get that Trump out of the dump. And I'm done with it, over the hump. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I want to say Hillary for president, and Cory agrees. Hillary for president,
sure.
exactly.
No questions
No
asked.
questions asked. Okay. Hello.
And here's another video in which he talks about how he doesn't like Trump. He really hates Trump. He was at the premiere of the horror movie It with that creepy clown.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the creepy clown.
Me either.
But you know which one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he said.
Definitely Donald Trump. That's a no question situation.
Donald Trump is way scarier.
They asked him who was scarier.
So if you were in the bathroom like the original It and the clown came out of
that
the...
clown came out of the toilet and Donald Trump leered over the top, I'd be like, "Help, clown, take me with you. I'll go."
They both wear the same amount of makeup though, I mean.
Well, yeah, but the point is I think I have a better chance of getting at least an honest depiction of what to expect down there from the clown. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he probably wouldn't really tell me what was going to happen. I'd find out later. I don't like surprises. I mean, if I have to deal with something, I want to deal with it now. So down the hatch we go.
So what they asked Cory Feldman right before that is, who is scarier? The It clown, Pennywise,
okay.
the It clown or Trump? And he's like, definitely Trump.
Trump's a scary one. I see.
Trump is scarier than the horror movie clown. And guess who Paloma is good friends with? Cory Feldman. And during the same year that her movie came out, which she never told anybody about, she went to a party at her good friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say she wrote there?
2016 Memories of 4th of July in Los Angeles with my good friend Cory Feldman and Courtney, his beautiful wife, and Chewy, their pug.
So she even knows the dog's name.
Yeah.
Here's some more pictures from that party day. Here she is in front of some of the posters of the movies by Cory Feldman.
I see.
There's Goonies. There's Stand By Me. And here's another picture of her and some of the women she went with.
Ah.
They look like those party girls. Here's another one. You can see they had an assortment of
Outfits.
model-like looking women,
Mm-hmm.
which is what Cory Feldman seems to surround himself with.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice from the other videos he
Exactly.
was in,
Exactly.
not surprising he would bring these folks to his party. But again, the question lies in putting all of this together and answering the question: if it's true that you were a Trump supporter since 2015 and 2016, you were going strong, why would you be posting these pictures up on your Paloma for Trump page, giving the postures of this person? Folks, this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Conservatives, beware. Everyone beware of Paloma for fraud, because the next victim could be you. All I'm saying. And I haven't even scratched the surface of this individual. I will be bringing more information in the following days and weeks. That's all I have for you tonight here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Stay safe and have a good night.